guys, Sara from Ancient Esoterica, just popping on here to share a quick message with you guys. So the past couple weeks, I've been really on a gut healing journey. So my entire life, I've dealt with acid reflux, GERD, indigestion, stomach discomfort, all things stomach and digestion, acid reflux, all that. And basically the past 2 weeks, I've started to really look in the energetics of these imbalances, which all of the imbalances are centered basically in our gut, in the esophagus too, but mostly in the gut, which is correlated to the solar plexus chakra, which also correlates to the seat of our power center, our self-esteem, our ability to set goals, just this inner fire power center here in our gut. And so as I've been diving into these themes that are really causing my gut imbalances, I have been realizing that it has all been really rooted in powerlessness, feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, low self-worth, and just feeling overall like I don't have power, like I don't have the power to choose what's right for me, to meet my needs, etc., etc., etc. And so as I've been diving into these power struggles within myself and where I give power away to others, to external authority figures, to food, to whatever, and as I've been calling my power back, I've really noticed my gut balancing. As they say, as above, so below, I have also been eating well. I've really cut out a lot of processed foods. I've cut down on sugar, and I've cut down on basically like numbing with food. And basically I noticed that I was experiencing my only really emotional fulfillment in my life through food, thus kind of revolving my life around food. And when I was younger, when I was in high school, I actually experienced a lot of starvation because there wasn't really a lot of money in my household. I wasn't given lunch money a lot of the time. There weren't things that I could stomach because of my sensitivities and my preferences. So a lot of the time I actually went without food at school and then would come home and would eat like a bag of Utz potato chips or ramen noodles. And so this time when I faced a lot of starvation and I didn't have my needs met and there was not healthy, nourishing food readily available to me, it really created this like fear, this just power struggle rooted in fear, rooted in survival, not enoughness, scarcity in regards to food. So I was hyper fixated on food. I was just so obsessive about food. All I could think of was like, when am I going to get my next meal? What's it going to be? How can I be in control? Which your solar plexus and your power center can also be the seat of control. If we have control issues, if we feel out of control in our life, we can kind of like overwork the gut, and that can actually lead to acid reflux, because acid reflux can be kind of an overproduction of acid in the gut and many other things too. It's really anxiety induced and stuff. So these early childhood experiences paired with kind of using food to numb and seek these sensations really created this like lifelong imbalance within my gut. And so over the past 2 weeks, it's kind of been like, whether I like it or not, I need to fix these problems, because I've just been dealing with intense nausea, intense severe acid reflux, gut discomfort. Like I think it was Monday, either Sunday or Monday, I was literally in bed all day, so nauseous, could not eat. It took me like 2 hours to eat one over easy egg. I was like nibbling on crackers all day. Like I could not even eat food, which that was like a major shift point for me. And it was at the, gotta look at this real quick. Kitty being cute. She was clawing the screen. Anyway, quick distraction, squirreling a little bit, but yeah, so it was Monday. Monday was a really big shift point for me, because before that, the acid reflux was ramping up. I was really like intolerant to a lot of the things that I used to eat, like things that were kind of my safety comfort foods were actually triggering my acid reflux and making it worse. I had to shift away from excessive consumption and caffeine intake. You know, I was getting a matcha latte like every single day, and it was all I could think about. Like, that was my prize of the day. Like, if I could manifest fucking $6 to go get a matcha latte. And in this natural shift, like this shift in my energy, this shift in my perspective and in my gut, I haven't even been able to stomach a matcha latte. Like the last one I got was last Sunday, and it took me like 4 hours to finish, which usually I can suck those down in like an hour, a large one. Not that large, like 20 ounce. Yeah, not that'd be crazy. But on this rebalancing journey and this gut healing journey, a lot of fear has come up, and my control issues and my survival mechanism instincts kicked in completely full force because I could not control my stomach. I could not control food like I usually did, and I could not control my emotions, and I couldn't escape and give myself those like sensations and those highs from the food. I literally had to focus on like slowing down, chewing my food, nourishing my body, etc. And it was all like guided. It wasn't really a shift in my mind, although the shift that I did make in my mind and in my psyche was that I wanted to figure out these power struggles. And I wanted to resolve the root of these power struggles within my being. Feeling so disempowered, feeling inadequate, you know, low self-worth, scarcity, just all of that. I knew, you know, from a psychological conscious level that like these stories are not true, but in my body they were still true. So I really had to kind of go through the motions with them, rewire my subconscious, my body, the cells in my body to like view food as safe, not a drug, not a source of pleasure, not, you know, something to be abused and used and used in excess. So as I've been, you know, reworking my gut and healing, it has been such a freaking journey. I have dealt with debilitating nausea this entire week for about 2 weeks now, maybe a little bit over 2 weeks, but especially this week, this nausea really invoked a fear response within me because I couldn't control, like I couldn't go like seek the same pleasures that I usually did. Like what the heck was I gonna do? And I had to fully face a lot of things that I was wanting to stay in victim mentality. I wanted to stay disempowered, and that I was actually getting something out of staying in scarcity and in this like separation, wounded archetype that I was centered in. It's how I received a lot of attention. It's how I could hide from life, from my purpose, from my work, you know, avoid responsibility, just all of that. And as I faced these truths and as I really started to stomach and digest all of this stuff, because actually I do want to say one thing that really, really helped me was I have this book right here called Metaphysical Anatomy. It's a huge book, textbook, that I got from a used bookstore a few years ago. Massive book. And I bookmarked the pages right here about, you know, nausea, sickness, acid reflux, and all of that. And pretty much the first line of the nausea section is, what in your life are you unable to digest? Who and what is overwhelming you? And I will say, I had the most intense dream. I want to say, sorry about the truck, by the way, Matrix vibes. I had the most intense dream where I was screaming to my grandmother, I think it was Wednesday night into Thursday, how overwhelmed I was, and I was going manic and crazy, and it was like this expression of my emotions, all these repressed overwhelm and turmoil and like manicness, expressing that within this dream. And I woke up like, what the fuck? Like, it was a lot. But yeah, revealing to me how overwhelmed I've been by my circumstances, by that which is out of my control, by that which is uncertain, and just feeling so overwhelmed by my stomach issues. Because I developed a freaking heavy, nasty weed smoking habit over the years, was very addicted to smoking weed because it was the only thing that eased my stomach issues. I mean, like, if you've been friends with me at any point in my life, you know about my stomach issues and how weed has been my miracle medicine to ease that. And, you know, I won't go too much into that because I'm still like learning about, you know, working with weed as more of a medicine rather than a crutch. But I've really learned that it was kind of how I gave myself this artificial sense of power, because I could like kind of dissociate from the physical realm, from the human realms and human things, human body, and kind of like connect more with that Akashic field, the spiritual, astral, higher dimensions. But I'm here trying to be a human, and we can't just like float around in the ethers all the time. Like, we got to be human. And I could tell that this weed habit was kind of like keeping me disconnected from like fully owning my human and like being a human and not hating being human. So yeah, and then also in the book it says you may feel challenged by past issues that are now being triggered by recent circumstances. So a lot of the circumstances that I've been in these past few years have completely mirrored the traumas of my childhood. Living around very incongruent lifestyles to my own, living around others who ignorantly cause harm with their actions, you know, addicts, just like really being in the trenches. And in these early childhood themes that completely took me out of the seat of my power, fucking horrified me, and just kept me in this repressive, angry, needing to control state. And so as I've been forgiving, as I've been calling my power back, because I've basically artificially placed my power on these external figures, whether it's people, environments, money, food, whatever, given those things my power instead of generating my power from within. And so I, you know, went into that book over the weekend, I believe it was, and that really sparked like, okay, yeah, these gut issues are rooted in an inability to digest my emotions and digest my fears from childhood that are mirroring into the present moment. And so as I'm unpacking these things and starting to really like not rush the process, but validate for my, also it literally smells like someone is burning sage outside. It's beautiful. Thank you. I don't know if someone's having a campfire or like if the neighbors are like having a fucking sage ceremony, but lovely. Had to comment because I keep just being like, ooh. Anyway, sidetracking again. Yeah, basically forgiving others for their ignorant actions, like living and let live it, live and let live approach, like allowing people to, you know, cope with reality and live whatever desired reality they want to. Because I was taking on way too much responsibility to kind of help like, or trying to force people to like wake up, as a lot of people on this path do. You may resonate, you know, once you learn about the truth of reality and the true nature and like healing and vibes, you just like want to share it with everybody. But a lot of people are very attached to their beliefs and their reality and their routines, and they're addicted to kind of like avoiding responsibility. And that was me for a little while. But in regards to like reality and truth and stuff, people will uphold that matrix reality and deny the truth if it gives them this like artificial sense of comfort. Like if they feel comfortable believing like that's just the way it is, you gotta just get a 9 to 5 and slave the rest of your life, fine. Believe that, you do you. But I'm not going to succumb to those limiting beliefs anymore, and I'm going to take my power back and create this reality for myself that I've wanted to create since I was 8 years old. Being an author, making YouTube videos, writing, you know, influencing, sharing, just like, you know, being a human and helping my fellow humans like figure it out if they so choose. But so in forgiving myself, forgiving the system, the matrix, calling my power back, and just, you know, like really adopting that live and let live lifestyle. Like if people are committed to their own destruction, let them. It's, you know, like Mel Robbins' book, let them. Like it's not your responsibility to save everyone. It sucks when the people that you're trying to influence are causing you harm and they don't want to admit that. They don't want to face that they are causing you harm, physical harm, emotional, mental, whatever. But like it's up to you to uphold that boundary, to it's not like don't let them harm you. It's so easier said than done, especially if you're kind of like, you know, living with people or you're forced to be around certain people. Like, you can't cut off everyone and go full hermit in a cave. That's not gonna work. Tried that down in the Florida swamp. Fucking sucked. And so long story short, this is kind of like a tangent. Let's get back to the gut stuff because that's the topic of this video. So also earlier in the week, or a few days ago, actually, just a few days ago, I stumbled across some really, really deep truths in the book Anatomy of the Spirit by Caroline Myss. Jordan Younger, the Balanced Blonde on Instagram, and she has a podcast too, amazing. Jordan has mentioned this book a few times about how it's one of those books that like she's read multiple times, it's changed her life. So I checked it out from my library for the summer, and I've been reading it slowly throughout the summer, and oh my gosh, like the wisdom codes, and it's like just unlocking and reminding me of these things that I already knew within myself, but that I just didn't fully trust because it wasn't coming from an external source as I was taught to trust information. So actually seeing this information that I inherently knew coming from an outside source brought me through this like whoa, ego moment where it was like, maybe I can trust my gut. You know, maybe all these imbalances, and I actually wrote this down in the middle of the night. I like woke up and scribbled it in my notebook. I wrote, my sensitivities and discomforts are ways that my body and soul have boundaries with my mind and my ego. It's these sensitivities, discomforts, health issues, they're ways to limit me and hold me back for my own good. Because my mind tends to get away with itself, as all of ours do. You know, we'll just reach for that external comfort, reach for those highs, you know, stimulate our minds, all of that. But, you know, it's hard to guard against excess when we're in that state. And part of me wants to like go eat McDonald's and get 3 extra large coffees a day and eat all the candy and have ice cream and eat the processed Stop and Shop box brand food. Like, there's a part of me that wants to do that because it feels safe and I can just chameleon in with like the matrix reality that I grew up in. But my entire life, my body has rejected these things. And I see that it's my body and my soul kind of upholding this boundary with my ego and my mind, which just wants to conform for safety, fit in for safety, you know, just like be praised for sameness, which is how the matrix operates. And I have to say, if you're a car person, if you like cars, you may have heard of Whistling Diesel, or maybe you've just heard of this guy, Whistling Diesel on YouTube. He released, like, I have chills saying it, such a freaking powerful video the other day talking about a lot of the hate comments that he's been getting about his relationship and his lifestyle and how he's changed. And from what I see, this man has completely transcended the matrix. And this is exactly what he talks about. And he speaks about it from the perspective of like Andrew Tate, which is where a lot of these people start, like when you're really in your masculine and you're starting to like dip your toes in higher consciousness and wisdom and truth. Usually it's like the Tony Robbins, the Andrew Tates, like those people who can like kind of like introduce us to this fact of like, sorry, my kitty's being a fucking weirdo. This fact that like we are in a matrix, there is this like status quo consensus reality, and people will freaking bully you to stay in this and not break out of that status quo. And that's what Whistling Diesel was talking about, that a lot of these people who are putting these freaking horrible comments, like who, if you see this and you're far enough along in this video and you've ever made like a hateful comment, like why? What good is that doing for you, for anyone? I'm not trying to call you out right now, but like, why? Anyway, and Whistling Diesel also talks about just like how your beliefs kind of create your reality and all of that. And if you want to limit yourself and bully other people into this like conformist, like just soul trap that is like scarcity and like that's just the way it is mentalities, it's like, go do you, but like don't sit there and bully all of us who are living our dream lives because like you see that as unattainable, you know. I'll link his video in the description too if you want to check it out. It's an amazing tell that like humanity is waking up. Like if Whistling Diesel is talking about these things, and if you know who I'm talking about, you'll be like, wow. I mean, the guy's been on this journey. Like he's a very creative and smart guy and like very successful because of how he's built his YouTube business and his brands and everything. Like, he is an amazing content creator. But he's also, you know, a little mainstream, a little, you know, like that. Yeah, go check out the video if you feel called. But so yeah, lots of tangents in this video. Was expecting it to literally be 5 minutes. Here we are at almost 20. That's how these things go. So thanks for being along for the ride, and I promise there are some really valuable wisdom codes as we wrap this up. So I was reading in that book, Anatomy of the Spirit, and of course the page I had left off on, like, you can't make this shit up, is literally about personal power being the key to resilience and healing, and that wounds of feeling inadequacy, being afraid of being alone, seeking validation, and seeking approval from others externally, these can breed a lot of these power struggles and these solar plexus wounds and these, like, this need for healing and these imbalances. And so the human energy system is a very powerful expression of personal power. And so when we stifle our power due to trauma, due to limiting beliefs imprinted on us, like, you know, me wanting to be an author my whole life and everybody being like, be realistic. Like, that's not the way this world works. And just completely, like, I know I need to take a little bit more responsibility for this because I'm still a little wounded at the way people have treated me, but like, fucking come on, people. Like, are we really that soulless and like borderline evil that we're going to fucking like shame people for pursuing a dream? Like, come on. Like, when I started writing my book a year ago, I thought that I would actually maybe get like a little bit of support and be like, wow, good for you. Like, go Sarah. No. Pause for emphasis. No. Like, talking behind my back, people rallying other people against me, like complete shame and fucking like borderline psychological torture. And I kind of needed that because of this externalization of power, because I so needed that validation and approval and that. So having this lack of validation and approval is even though it hurt and I'm still healing from it and I'm still shocked that people reacted this way, it's just sad. You know, if any of you guys, you know who you are watching this, sad. Sorry, getting a little heated here. Still healing that, as I said. But I needed all of that to, you know, not write my book because I was getting validation, to write it because I knew I was meant to write it. And it's what I wanted to do and what I feel is part of my purpose. And so it's interesting because this wound of inadequacy, and these feelings of inadequacy, they're actually one of my shadows in my gene keys chart. And bro, like, the root of all of this, like the reason why I was really diving into a lot of this was because a lot of this inadequacy, power struggles, and this stuff was really stifling my ability to show up in my business, to make money, to hold on to money, to have resources to spread and use. And so it's very interesting because this gene key, that basically I think it's the 39th gene key, and it's the shadow of inadequacy, the gift of resourcefulness, and the city of wisdom. And this gene key is in my freaking life's work sphere. So you can't make that shit up. And the past couple weeks, before I even stumbled upon this information on the 27th, which was a few days ago, past couple weeks, I've really been contemplating my resourcefulness, shifting into that gift frequency out of the shadow. Because the shadow sees the self as separate, as inadequate, not good enough, not worthy. And that's where I've been stuck since my childhood, since I got my YouTube channel taken away in 6th grade, was banned from the internet through middle school and high school, you know, had to stay after school to do my online homework because I was not allowed to use the internet at home. All these things, wonderful childhood foundational experiences that just really brought me into that wound of inadequacy. And so as I really see my ability to be resourceful, that like if I only have $10 to last me a week, I can make that work. I can feed myself, I can meet my needs, I can have a little fun, you know, and I'm very resourceful. And I've just been really, chills, connecting with that these past few weeks. And so when that wound of inadequacy came up for like a big, you know, solar plexus blocker and kind of like gut imbalancer, it really started to make sense that it was these wounds and this pain that I've been unable to digest and stomach and like understand, because I was also taking it very personal and had a very myopic perspective, which I also believe contributes to my eye issues, because I don't know if it's nearsightedness or farsightedness, but I can't see far away. And when I looked up like a little bit more about this, that can stem from having a very myopic, narrow view, which can be like taking things personally, not seeing the forest through the trees, not seeing the bigger picture, not seeing what other people might be going through, and that those who cause our suffering may be suffering themselves and are just too naive or immature or unconscious or ignorant to realize that and take responsibility for their pain. They're just like spewing it out everywhere. And so I've really been contemplating these energies a lot and how it relates to my life's work, because when I have my gut issues, when I feel inadequate, when I have low self-esteem, when I have no money, I can't really show up for my work. You know, if this was me a few weeks ago when I got this idea for this video, I would have like written it down in my notebook and like gone back in my like mess hole of like, ick. But I'm, you know, really committing to like doing this work and not needing the approval or the validation or like someone to like hold my hand doing it. Just showing up, sharing the wisdom codes, doing my work, holding space, being here for people, you know, and just really stepping into my desired life path of being like a writer, a mentor, an influencer, and a creator. And so these fears and these feelings of inadequacy can really act like a black hole within us. And it's because we have a self-esteem that's based in an ability to have control over reality and others. And when I wrote that, I was like, damn. Like that, my whole life, everything I do from the second I wake up to the second I went to bed was rooted in this survival needing to control, like needing to control what food I'm eating, what I'm doing, like just these control issues and power struggles. And it's because I felt such a lack of control over my life, and because of the gut issues and the way other people treated me, I just couldn't like figure it out and couldn't just kind of balance out and just be in my power and feel the fear and do it anyway. I just like would grasp for control, especially going through a near-death experience, losing a boyfriend right in front of me in my accident in 2017, and all these intense experiences. It just really made me double down on control and not trusting life. And so yeah, I've been really undermining my own emotional development because I've been trying to have control over these emotions, which are just trying to be digested. And controlling them meant smoking them away, eating them away, processing them or feeling things when I wanted to feel them, not when they were inconvenient for me or others. And so pretty much like what I am shifting into now is I want to develop an internal concept of power and an ability to generate power and emotional energy and resources from within. So to have more control over my emotional state, I just have to learn to be present, eat the right things, don't act out of control or fear, move with love, move with purpose, with to be of service, and really just believing in my self-sufficiency and my ability to support myself, because I've really been tied up in this belief that I'm not good enough, I'm not able to support myself, I'm not self-sufficient, I have to rely on others, I need others to survive, etc., etc., etc. All rooted in those childhood things where I was facing a lot of starvation, my needs weren't met, I was very much ignored, and I spent day after day like locked in a room. The exact same reality that I have lived for the past 3 years, being locked in this room. So there's no coincidence there. We cycle back to these same circumstances and things. It doesn't have to be so drastic. It's not like the exact same things, but we'll dip our toes in these themes that need resolution and need healing and acknowledgement and just integration. And sometimes we have to like immerse ourselves in that reality, in an environment, in situations, relationship dynamics that mirror those old pains so as to see them through the eyes of an adult. Because the reason why a lot of these things hurt so much is because we were viewing it through the eyes of a child who was very dependent on parents. Like at 12, 13, 14 years old, I was very dependent on parents for survival, and they just kind of like were like, you're on your own, kid. And so I started stealing my own clothes. I started like acting out of fear and out of scarcity and survival and making these very negative choices to attempt to meet my own needs as a 12, 13, 14-year-old who couldn't get a job and who just, yeah. So I've really been reattuning my relationship with power and the symbols that represent it. And I will say today, because these past couple days, I've just had to really full on surrender. You know, my mind wanted to go get the same egg sandwich from my cafe that I love getting because it makes me feel good. Or I really wanted to go like have Chipotle or, you know, whatever. Things that aren't like bad, but the things that I would use for that emotional distraction and comfort in the external. And so in calling my power back and just eating slow, because I saw a post about, you know, just like really slowing down and like digesting your food and like tasting it. And I was like, damn, yeah, I eat so fast. I shovel my food in my mouth. And it was a good reflection to bring my awareness to the fact that I want to eat to nourish my body, not to get high or distract myself. Burps. So this week has just really been a rebalancing where I've barely been able to eat. I have not been able to eat the portions I would usually eat. Had to eat very slow and very differently. And it has just been such a journey. And the literal 30 minutes in, here we go. The reason why I wanted to share this video today is because when I was in it, like yesterday, the day before, and it was so bad, I was like throwing up stomach acid. I was so nauseous. I was just like, it felt like I've been on a parasite cleanse too. And if you've done a parasite cleanse, it's literally like my mind and my psyche and my spirit initiated a natural parasite cleanse. And it's just been so profound. And in kind of surrendering and just like not trying to control, not freaking out, because my ego would start to like freak out when it didn't have control. And I'd get really antsy, really emotional. I'd want to like run away, but I was so weak and so nauseous that I couldn't. So I had to just like sit and be and just do the best I could. And I've really been focusing on foods and teas and tools and just clean water and just all the things that will really help rebalance my gut, rebuild my stomach lining. And it's crazy because a lot of the foods that I would like never really eat before and things that I just like was kind of indifferent about, it's like all I can eat. Like eggs. I would get such egg ick, but I love eggs with like cheese. And usually I would kind of demonize cheese and dairy products because they'd give me acid reflux, but they've actually been helping settle my stomach acid, like just a piece of cheddar cheese. So like the shifting from like mind-based reality and operating like, oh, can't do that because of this label, can't do that because I learned this on Instagram, can't eat that. Like all the blocks and the labels and the like artificial boundaries, it's all really kind of brought me into this like eating intuitively lifestyle. And so we're back to the purpose of this video. I hope my bananas aren't melted, but this morning I woke up and it was the first time that I was not nauseous and that I could just like exist. And I was so elated, so excited. I texted my friends, have a good day, connected with people, shared, you know, engaged in a discussion with one of my very highly conscious friends, Natalia, like all these things that seemed impossible for me. And so basically one of the key messages of this is like, if you're in it and you're afraid to be in it and to like, if you're in a transition or like you're processing these heavy emotions or like debilitating anxiety, like the culmination of something you've dealt with for a while, whether it's anxiety, depression, fears, stomach indigestion, constipation, whatever, let yourself be in it. Just be in it, be in the storm, let it get shitty, let it get gross. If you gotta throw up, throw up. If you gotta take a shit, take a shit. Like, just stop trying to control things from the level of your mind and shaming and demonizing your body for doing what it's trying to do, which is help you and like, fuck. And so I was starting to spiral into a little bit of panic right before this video. And I was like getting really hungry and there was nothing really available for me to eat that is like within my preferences for today. Like I didn't really want eggs today. Maybe I'll make some in like a little bit, but it wasn't what I wanted first thing in the morning. And I was a little bit afraid of giving myself acid reflux if I ate the eggs and cheese and whatever. So my gut was just like, you know what, just go get some more water. Just go fill your water. oh, hi. So I'm out there, and right in front of my eyes, my gut was like, cut up a banana. And I was like, oh, okay, that's like a nice, easy, balanced, like easy to digest morning food. And then my gut was like, check the pantry for some organic peanut butter. And there was literally like the perfect amount that I needed. And I took three pieces of 3 little circles of banana with peanut butter, peanut butter. And I feel great. And the second I started eating it, and I like balanced in because my stomach was feeling like it was eating itself, and I was like, oh my God, am I gonna be sick all day? I have to eat something. Should I walk somewhere and get something? No, I don't really want any takeout. Like, and just literally like listening to those gut impulses in the moment, went and got that, had a couple bites, and I feel so balanced. Like, I feel like I could go for a walk right now and finish my chores, finish sweeping my floors and stuff, because sitting on the floor right now, I'm like, yeah, I really need to sweep. And so the message is, like, being in that discomfort, it's going to dissipate. It's not going to be forever. And I learned this from Teal Swan back in the day, that oftentimes we struggle with healing and facing these darker shadow aspects of ourselves, the heavy feelings, the grief, the stomach discomfort, the whatever. We're afraid to face it because we think we're going to be stuck in it forever. And I remember yesterday thinking, like, am I going to be stuck in it like this forever? And then the next day I wake up and it's like miraculously, I like feel healed. My stomach lining doesn't hurt anymore. I'm naturally hungry. I'm like chewing my food, not like chugging ginger ale or anything with it. Just like truly, chills, healing that relationship with food. And it's just so profound. And I hope you guys can feel the gratitude in me for this journey that I've been on. Like, I'm so proud of myself for giving up the control and like facing the truth of my, the trade-off that I was getting and staying in this miserable, suffering, suffocating reality, that when I was keeping myself small, I didn't have to step into my purpose, and then I wouldn't get in trouble. Because when I was younger, I started a YouTube channel and I was doing all these things, and I was really stepping into my purpose in 6th grade. And, finding ancient aliens and all these things that I love still to this day, but they were all really like bullied out of me and shut down because my YouTube channel got me in trouble and I was made fun of in school and like whatever. And so just really doing this for that version of myself, the version of myself who started super early, who knew what the heck she was here to do and wanted to do it with devotion and passion and commitment. And it was taken away from me because of those who had power outside of me. My dad did have a lot of power over me, and so he could really punish me and make me feel like shit for my actions. And now I am not demonizing my father at all. He was literally just trying to protect me. His little 6th grade daughter was like running around like on this public platform. Anybody could see her, and YouTube was like brand new. So we didn't it was all like, new territory, the wild, wild west. And so I have grace and compassion, and it was all part of my journey because I was meant to go on this healing journey and this like active reactivation and reclaiming of my power to sort of like help others do it, because we've all gone through this. How many of us have like voiced our dreams or our opinions to our parents, who are literally God to us when we're young, and how many of them have been like, that's unrealistic, or like, you're grounded, or you're banned, or you can't do that, that's unacceptable, and like reacted out of fear. And it's not that that was like the wrong choice. Them, from their level of perception and programming and matrix living, deemed that as unsafe and fearful, and so thus reacted that way. So, long story short, go into the things you've been avoiding. Really contemplate those things that have been bothering you for a long time that have not been resolved. Those issues, you know what they are. Like the second it's like your issue, the second that like gets brought up, you're like, oh God, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. For me, it was my stomach issues and my smoking habit. And both have inadvertently sort of like reversed themselves as I've been on this journey, and just really it's about hearing the right things at the right time. That's what set me off on this journey, just journaling about these things and being open to receive them. Because even a year ago, if I had kind of tried to open up to these things, I didn't want to like step away from my addiction to food. Like there was too much of a trade-off. And even my victim mentalities and wanting to hide and stay small, like I was getting a trade-off from those things. And so in just really facing them, and when the cravings even come up, because I noticed my mind like, oh, we feel great, let's go order this, let's go get this food and this, and I was kind of like, no, like we're gonna stick with what we're doing and stay on this path of healing and really regenerative living, not living to just consume and take, really letting the food that I consume give life to me instead of just take it and give me such physical body discomfort. So, like I'm not fully healed. Like I said, I was just facing all those cravings before, but it's just about like maintaining your center, not letting the thoughts get away with themselves, and just really like being present. Like it's really that easy. Just anchoring presence and just kind of being in it. Whatever storm you're facing, it's safe to go into that because you're going to learn something about yourself. Don't go into it for the purpose of like, I need to be healed, this needs to be eradicated, this needs to be done. Go into it wanting to learn more about yourself, because I noticed that that's kind of how I went into this too. I wasn't trying to control the outcome, wasn't trying to force change or healing. I was just open. I was just open to learning more about these imbalances and what was contributing to them and what I can do to shift them and heal them and like really balance my gut and take my power back over my reality instead of living in this literal matrix dystopia that has been imprinted upon me, like living on planet freaking Earth. Shit. So yeah, this is much longer than I thought. This is like a whole freaking podcast. And yeah, I'm gonna end it there. I'm sending you all so much love. I hope you gained something from my shares today. And if you would like help navigating a transition that you're in, if you would like a mentor or someone to just bounce questions and opinions and ideas off of, I do offer mentorship right now. I've felt very guided to build a not super structured mentorship container. It's just a month container, a very, very small investment too. And you'll just kind of have me there to support you over text, to, just answer your questions, do psychic readings, and, whatever else I can do to support you as you're making this transition. Because you don't have to do it alone. You can lean on the support of mentors and friends. And if you, found this video and you resonate with it, definitely reach out and let's work together. So I am sending you so much love. You've got this. I've got this. We got this. I'm going to go enjoy my little bananas and peanut butter here. Oh my God, so good. So good. Oh yeah. Gonna take a little bite real quick. Oh my God, it's so good. Mouthful. Bye guys.